When Mara turned 18, strange things started happening. People stared at her in the market. They whispered behind her back. Some even laughed, but not in a nice way. Mara didn't understand. She looked in the mirror every day. Mara had always loved her village. It was small, with red earth paths that twisted between round mud huts and tall palm trees. Children played with sticks and stones, women sang while pounding yam, and the air always smelled of firewood and ripe mangoes. But on the morning of her 18th birthday, something changed. She stepped out of her family's hut wearing her best wrapper, a gift from her mother. The sun was warm on her skin, and the birds chirped like they were singing just for her. She smiled at the world. But the world didn't smile back. At the market, people stared. Not in the way they used to, not with friendly eyes or warm greetings. No, this was different. A woman selling tomatoes paused mid-sale to whisper something to her neighbor. A group of boys who used to play by the well suddenly stopped laughing and looked away. One of them even dropped his gourd of water. Mara's smile faded. She walked past the yam seller, who turned his back. A little girl tugged at her mother's wrapper and pointed at Mara, whispering something. The mother quickly pulled the child away. Mara's heart thudded. She touched her face. Was there something on it? Dirt? A bruise? She rushed home, confused and embarrassed. Back in her room, Mara stood in front of the mirror. It was a small piece of polished metal, but it was enough. She leaned in close. Her skin was smooth, the color of warm honey. Her eyes were wide and bright, like stars reflected in a river. Her lips were full and pink. Her hair, thick and soft, was braided neatly down her back. She looked normal. She looked beautiful. So why did everyone act like she was cursed? Her mother, Lena, came in carrying a basket of cassava leaves. She saw Mara staring at herself. "You're still looking?" Lena asked gently. Mara turned. "Mama, do you see anything strange about me?" Lena smiled and walked over. She cupped Mara's face in her hands. "You are beautiful, my child. Just like the moon." "Then why does everyone look at me like I'm a ghost?" Lena's smile faded. "People are foolish. They fear what they don't understand." Mara nodded, but her heart was heavy. She wanted to believe her mother. But something didn't feel right. From the doorway, her father stood watching. Jonah was a tall man with quiet eyes and a voice like thunder. He didn't speak. He just stared. He always stared. Jonah had always been protective. But lately, it felt like more than that. He followed Mara everywhere. When she went to fetch water, he stood by the path. When she visited her friend Simi, he waited outside. When she helped her mother at the market, he watched from a distance. At first, Mara thought it was love. Maybe he was just worried. Maybe he didn't want her to get hurt. But now, it felt strange. One day, she tried to walk to the river alone. She waited until her father was asleep, then slipped out quietly. But halfway down the path, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. There he was. Jonah. He didn't say anything. He just nodded and walked behind her, silent as a shadow. Mara's skin prickled. She didn't feel safe. She felt trapped. As the weeks passed, the village changed. Mara's friends were getting suitors. Young men came to their homes with gifts, bracelets, cloth, and sweet-smelling oils. They talked about bride price and danced with joy. Simi was getting married. Her house was full of laughter and music. But no one came for Mara. She tried to talk to boys. She smiled. She laughed. She waited. But they acted scared. One boy dropped his basket and ran. Another covered his mouth like he saw something horrible. Even the elders avoided her. Mara sat under the mango tree and cried. "Mama," she asked one night, "what's wrong with my face?" Lena hugged her tight. "My child, nothing is wrong. You are perfect." But Mara didn't believe her anymore. The moon festival was the happiest night of the year. Girls wore wrappers with shiny beads. Drums beat loud and fast. Fires danced in clay pots. Everyone sang and clapped. Mara joined the crowd. She wore her best clothes. Her mother had braided her hair with tiny cowries. She looked like a queen. Women smiled at her clothes and hair. But the men. One dropped his palm wine. Another hid behind his friend. They looked at her like she was a ghost. Mara's heart thumped like a drum. She saw Leo, a quiet boy she liked. She walked up slowly and said, "Good evening." Leo looked at her once. His face turned pale. I'm sorry," he said, and ran away. Mara stood alone. Her eyes filled with tears. She didn't understand. Why were they afraid? The next morning, Mara didn't want to leave the house. Her heart still hurt from the festival. She sat on the floor, staring at her hands, wondering what was wrong with her. But the sun was bright, and her mother needed water. So Mara picked up her calabash and walked to the stream. She kept her head down, hoping no one would notice her. At the stream, she saw someone sitting on a rock, carving a piece of wood. It was Tari, the boy who made beautiful wooden animals and masks. He was quiet, always working, always kind. Mara tried to walk past him without a word. But Tari looked up and smiled. "Mara," he said gently. "You came." She stopped. "You're not afraid of me?" He shook his head. "No. But, can I tell you something?" Mara nodded slowly. Tari stood and walked closer. "Please don't be upset. But, your face looks different to us." Mara's heart dropped. "Different how?" Tari looked down at the carving in his hands. "Let me show you." He picked up a fresh piece of wood and began to carve. His hands moved quickly, like they already knew what to do. Chips of wood fell to the ground like rain. When he finished, he turned the carving toward her. Mara gasped. The face was twisted. The eyes were too wide, the mouth stretched in a strange, crooked smile. It looked like a mask, a scary one. "That's not me," she whispered. "That's what people see," Tari said softly. "But I don't. I see you." Mara's knees felt weak. She sat down beside him, tears in her eyes. "Why is this happening to me?" she asked. "I don't know," Tari said. "But I want to help you find out." Tari told Mara about a woman who lived deep in the forest. People called her the Wise One. Some said she could speak to spirits. Others said she was a witch. But everyone agreed, she knew things no one else did. "We can go together," Tari said. "If you want." Mara hesitated. The forest was thick and dark. People said it was full of snakes and spirits. But she had to know the truth. "I'll go," she said. They left early the next morning. The path was narrow and overgrown. Birds called from the trees. Strange insects buzzed in the air. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Mara held Tari's hand tightly. After hours of walking, they reached a small hut made of mud and leaves. Smoke curled from the roof. A wind chime made of bones clinked softly in the breeze. Tari knocked on the wooden door. It creaked open. An old woman stood there. Her hair was silver, her skin wrinkled like tree bark. But her eyes were bright and sharp. "I've been expecting you," she said. Inside the hut, the air smelled of herbs and smoke. Strange bottles lined the shelves. A small fire crackled in the corner. The wise woman took Mara's hands and looked into her eyes. "You carry a heavy curse," she said. Mara's voice trembled. "What kind of curse?" The woman closed her eyes and touched Mara's forehead. She whispered words in a language Mara didn't understand. Then she opened her eyes. "Someone has placed a spell on you," she said. "A powerful one." "What does it do?" Mara asked. "It makes people see two faces," the woman said. "Your real face, and a face of fear. A face that isn't yours." Mara's heart pounded. Why would someone do that to me? The woman looked at her sadly. "Because they love you. But in the wrong way. They want to keep you hidden. To keep others away." Mara's breath caught. She thought of her father. His quiet eyes. His shadow that followed her everywhere. "No," she whispered. "It can't be him." The woman said nothing. But her eyes said everything. Mara couldn't sleep that night. Her mind raced with questions. Her heart felt like it was breaking. The next morning, she made a plan. I need to know the truth, she told Tari. Together, they followed Jonah. They stayed far behind, hiding behind trees and bushes. Jonah walked deep into the forest, past the farms and the stream, into a place Mara had never seen before. He stopped at a small hut made of sticks and leaves. Inside, a man sat on the floor, surrounded by bones and feathers. A native doctor. Jonah spoke in a low voice. No man should see her beauty, he said. She belongs to me alone. Make the spell stronger. Mara gasped. Her knees gave out. She fell to the ground. Tai caught her. Her father had done it. He had cursed her. He had made the whole village see her as a monster. Mara and Tari returned home in silence. The truth weighed heavily on her chest. Her father, the man who had carried her as a baby, who had taught her to climb trees, who had once told her stories under the stars, had cursed her. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she stood in the doorway of their hut, staring at him. Jonah sat sharpening his knife, as always. The sound scraped the silence. Papa, she said. He looked up slowly. I know what you did. His hands froze. I followed you, she said. I heard everything. Jonah's face turned pale. His lips trembled, but no words came out. Lena stepped into the room, holding a bowl of water. What's going on? Mara turned to her mother. He cursed me. He made them see a monster. Lena dropped the bowl. Water splashed across the floor. Jonah, she whispered. Tell me it's not true. Jonah stood up. His shoulders sagged. He looked at Mara, then at Lena, then back at the floor. I was afraid, he said. Afraid of losing her. Of losing the only thing I had left. You had us, Lena said, her voice shaking. You had your family. Jonah's eyes filled with tears. I couldn't bear the thought of her leaving. Of some boy taking her away. So I asked the native doctor to protect her. To hide her beauty. Mara stepped back. You didn't protect me. You trapped me. I was trying to keep you safe, he said. You were keeping me alone, she whispered. Jonah fell to his knees. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. But it was too late. The wise woman returned to the village that evening. She brought with her a small clay pot filled with herbs and ashes. The spell must be broken with truth, she said. And with fire. She led Mara to the center of the village. A crowd gathered. People whispered, unsure of what was happening. Jonah was brought forward. He stood beside Mara, his head bowed. The wise woman lit a fire in a large bowl. Smoke curled into the sky. Speak the truth, she said to Jonah. Speak it before your people. Jonah looked up. His voice was hoarse. I cursed my daughter, he said. I was afraid of losing her. I made a spell so no man would want her. I made them see a monster. Gasps filled the air. Some people stepped back. Others looked at Mara with wide, guilty eyes. The wise woman threw the herbs into the fire. A burst of green smoke rose up. She turned to Mara. Now you must forgive him. Or the spell will stay. Mara looked at her father. He was crying. He looked smaller than she had ever seen him. I forgive you, she said. But I will never forget. The fire roared. A wind swept through the village. The smoke wrapped around Mara like a blanket, then vanished into the sky. And just like that, the spell was gone. The next morning, Mara walked to the market. People stared again, but this time, their eyes were wide with wonder, not fear. She's beautiful, someone whispered. Like a goddess, said another. Children smiled at her. Women nodded in respect. Even the boys who once ran from her now looked at her with awe. But Mara didn't smile for them. She walked past them all, her head high, her heart steady. She found Tari sitting under the big Udala tree, carving a bird from wood. He looked up and smiled. You look like yourself again. I feel like myself again, she said. He stood. Mara, you are safe now. Will you let me stay with you always? She smiled. Yes, Tari. The village celebrated Mara's freedom. Drums beat, fires burned, and people danced late into the night. Mara would sit by the water and look at her reflection. Not because she needed to check her beauty, but because she had learned to love the girl in the mirror, no matter what others saw. Children in the village grew up hearing the story of the girl with two faces. Some said it was just a tale. Others believed every word. And the children would stare in wonder. Because now, everyone could see her. Truly see her.